There comes a moment in life, quiet and often unnoticed, where you stop asking, "What do I want today?" and instead start asking, "Who am I becoming today?" It's a subtle shift, but it changes everything, because chasing goals can keep you busy, but becoming excellent makes you unshakable, and that's what this is about. Not motivation, not hype, not another productivity hack that fades by Friday. This is about personal excellence, the kind that doesn't shout, the kind that's built in silence, practiced in solitude, and revealed in pressure. You've probably felt it before, that quiet frustration that comes when you know you're capable of more. Not because someone told you, but because there's something inside you that won't settle. Maybe you've reached milestones. Maybe you've checked off boxes, but still, there's that hunger, that whisper that says, you were made for more than this. Not more money, not more attention, more depth, more alignment, more strength. Now let's be clear, personal excellence isn't about being the best. It's about being your best. It's not about outworking everyone else. It's about outgrowing who you were yesterday. And that journey, it's not built in breakthroughs, it's built in habits, simple, repeatable, often invisible to the world, but unmistakable in their impact. That's where the Stoics come in. These weren't just old men in togas writing about life, they were warriors of the mind. They lived in the middle of chaos, power, betrayal, war, loss. And yet they remained grounded, centered, excellent. Why? Because they built their lives on daily habits, not trends. Not circumstances, principles. They didn't wait for inspiration. They trained like philosophers, practiced like soldiers, reflected like poets. They didn't ask, what feels good today? They asked, what is right today? And if you want to live that way, if you want to wake up with intention, move through your day with clarity, and go to sleep with peace, you don't need to add more noise to your life. You need habits that anchor you, habits that elevate you, habits that bring you home to who you really are when everything else tries to distract you. Because let's be honest, the world isn't short on distractions. It's short on direction. We scroll, we react, we compare, we chase, but deep down what we want isn't more. We want meaning. We want mastery. We want to become someone we respect in the dark, not just someone who looks good in the light. That's what personal excellence gives you. And it starts not with a massive overhaul, but with 10 daily choices, 10 habits that, if practiced with honesty and discipline, will change the way you think, act, and live. Some of them will challenge you. Some of them will feel uncomfortable at first, but all of them will sharpen you, align you. Remind you that you are not just surviving this life, you are sculpting it. So if you're tired of being pulled in every direction, if you're done being a stranger to your own potential, and if you're ready to live on purpose instead of by accident, this is your moment. You don't need more time. You need more intention. You don't need to wait for perfect conditions. You need to start where you are. And you don't need to become someone else. You need to return to the part of you that's always known what excellence feels like. It's in your blood. It's in your breath. It's in your next choice. So let's begin. 10 habits, 1 life. Built not for comfort, but for greatness. Built not for applause, but for integrity. Built not just to look excellent, but to become excellent. Let's do this together. Start with stillness, before the noise, before the world rushes in with its demands, its headlines, its notifications. There is a moment that belongs entirely to you. And what you do with that moment shapes everything that follows. Most people wake up and immediately reach for a screen. They check the time, the news, the messages, the updates. And just like that, they're no longer steering the day. The day is steering them. They're reacting before they've even had a chance to reflect. But the Stoics did something different. Marcus Aurelius began his mornings in silence, not because it was trendy, not because he had time to kill, because he understood that if he didn't govern his mind at the start of the day, someone else would. Stillness isn't emptiness, it's presence. It's not the absence of thought, it's the clarity of thought. It's not about meditation as a spiritual performance. It's about reconnecting to your own internal compass before the world tries to recalibrate it for you. When you wake up, don't rush. Don't immediately fill your mind with what's urgent. Let yourself arrive. Sit up, breathe. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? Not what do I need to do? Who do I need to be? Calm, focused? Honest, patient, brave. You start by being still long enough to hear the answer. There's a strength in stillness. It centers you. It reminds you that your emotions don't run your life. You do. That before the stress and the expectations, you are a mind with power, a soul with direction. That moment of silence becomes your anchor. You don't just stumble into the day. You enter it like someone who's been trained to lead it. Stillness isn't just for monks or mystics. It's for anyone who refuses to live on autopilot. Anyone who wants to stop being a slave to momentum and start becoming a master of movement. Start with just 5 minutes. No phone, no noise. Just you and your breath. Let your thoughts settle. Let your focus return. Let your intention rise. That's where excellence begins, not with motion, but with direction. Because when you start with stillness, you don't just manage the day, you master it. Define the day with a purpose. Now that you've reclaimed your mind in stillness, the next step is to direct it. Most people drift into their day and hope for clarity to find them. But clarity isn't something that shows up on accident. It's something you summon, and you summon it by defining your day before it begins. One of the most powerful Stoic practices is the premeditation of adversity. Marcus Aurelius would mentally rehearse the difficulties he might face, interruptions, insults, stress, deception, not to dread them, but to be ready for them. To walk into the day with eyes open, heart steady, and mind armed with virtue. You don't get caught off guard when you've already seen the battlefield. You don't panic when you've already trained for the pressure. That's what intention does. It's not just about visualizing success, it's about preparing your character to meet whatever comes. Every morning, take a moment to define your purpose. Not your tasks, your purpose. Ask yourself, what do I want to bring into this day? Maybe it's courage, maybe it's patience, maybe it's honesty. Whatever it is, speak it to yourself. Claim it before the world challenges it. Then go further. Ask yourself, what am I likely to face today that could throw me off? Be honest, you already know the emotional triggers, the person who frustrates you, the situation that scares you, the temptation to scroll, avoid, react. Name them now, not to fear them, but to face them. So when they come, you've already chosen how you will respond. And here's the shift. It's not about controlling the day. You can't. It's about controlling the direction of your character. You might not choose what happens, but you can always choose who you are in response. Your purpose is your compass. And if you don't set it, you'll follow someone else's. You'll be pulled by emotion, manipulated by opinion, swept away by urgency. But when you define your day with purpose, you walk in power. You become intentional, not impulsive. You become disciplined, not distracted. You live by design, not default. This is not about perfection. It's about alignment. It's about starting the day not with stress, but with strength. Not with chaos, but with clarity. And the truth is, no one will do this for you. No one will hand you purpose. You must choose it. You must claim it. Every morning. Quietly, fiercely, consistently. Because personal excellence doesn't happen to you. It happens through you. And it begins with defining your direction before you take your first step. Strengthen the body. Your body is not just a vehicle to carry your mind, it's a partner in your pursuit of excellence. And the Stoics understood this better than most. They didn't idolize the body for vanity. They honored it for utility. They trained it not to look good, but to endure, to obey, to be an ally when things got hard. Seneca once wrote, "We must exercise the body, not just the mind, or we'll grow soft and weak." Why? Because a weak body can become an excuse. When you lack energy, when your health is fragile, when you avoid discomfort, your mind suffers too. And excellence demands that your body support your mission, not sabotage it. This isn't about having a six-pack or lifting the heaviest weight in the room. This is about consistency, about daily effort, about treating your body like a temple for the virtues you're trying to build. Because physical discipline feeds mental discipline. When you push through that last set, that last stretch, that last minute of movement, you're telling yourself, I don't quit when it's hard. I don't flinch when it burns. I go through. That kind of message rewires you. It teaches you that pain is not the enemy, it's the path. The Stoics practiced voluntary hardship for this exact reason. They walked in the cold, slept on hard ground, skipped meals. Not to suffer for suffering's sake, but to remember that comfort is not a requirement for strength, that you can be tired and still rise, sore and still move, tested and still unshaken. Your habit here doesn't need to be extreme, it just needs to be non-negotiable. Move your body daily, stretch it, strengthen it, sweat with it, even if it's just 10 minutes, even if it's just a walk. What matters is not the method. What matters is that you show up, that you don't treat the body as something separate from your mission, but as part of it. Because when your body is strong, you're more alert, more focused, more emotionally stable. You breathe deeper, you sleep better, you recover faster. And you're less likely to fold under pressure when your physical foundation is solid. So don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't overthink your plan. Move today, use what you have, and let every drop of sweat become a declaration. I am becoming someone who does not fear effort. Strengthening the body is not just about building muscle, it's about building integrity. It's about showing your future self that you cared enough to prepare. So move with purpose, move with pride, move because excellence demands it. Delay pleasure. This is where things get real, because if you want to be excellent, you can't be addicted to ease. And in the world we live in, ease is everywhere. Fast food, endless entertainment, dopamine on demand. You can have everything instantly, except self-respect. That still takes time. That still takes effort. That still takes restraint. The Stoics knew this. Epictetus taught his students to walk past the bakery and feel the pull and not give in, not because food is bad, but because saying no builds something more important than a full belly. It builds mastery. When you delay pleasure, you prove to yourself that you're in control, that your impulses don't rule you, that you can feel desire and not obey it. That's freedom. That's power. The habit here is simple, but it's not easy. Pick one thing each day, one pleasure, one comfort, one indulgence, and delay it. Don't deny it forever, just postpone it. Skip the sugar for one day. Wait 30 minutes before checking your phone. Don't scroll first thing in the morning. Eat when you're truly hungry, not when you're bored. Delay the easy win so you can build the deep strength. Why? Because life will eventually demand that you go without something. And when that moment comes, you want to be ready. You want to know what it feels like to be uncomfortable and not panic. You want to know that your willpower is stronger than your wants. Voluntary discomfort is one of the sharpest tools in the Stoics' kit. It's the practice of choosing hard things, not because you have to, but because you can. Because when you train your mind to delay pleasure, you train your soul to lead. And let's be honest, most of our suffering doesn't come from the absence of pleasure. It comes from our dependence on it. We can't go 5 minutes without distraction. We can't go a day without sugar. We can't say no to the thing we know isn't good for us because we've forgotten how powerful self-restraint really is. But that's something you can reclaim. And every time you do, you get stronger, sharper, more self-possessed. You start to realize, I don't need every urge fulfilled to be happy. I don't need comfort to be calm. I can sit with desire and still choose discipline. That's not just a habit, that's a revolution in how you live. So start today. Find one thing you usually reach for without thinking and pause. Feel the urge, notice the craving, and then decide, not now, maybe later, maybe never. But today, I lead. Today, I delay. Today, I prove that my excellence matters more than my convenience. And when you do that consistently, you don't just change your behavior, you change your identity. You become someone who's not ruled by the world, but rooted in yourself. Be ruthlessly present. There's a moment in every day when you face a choice. Be fully here or drift. Be grounded in what's in front of you, or scatter your energy across 1,000 unfinished thoughts. That moment might come when you're in a conversation, when you're working on something meaningful, or when you're just sitting quietly with yourself. And if you're like most people, that moment often slips through your fingers because you've been trained to be everywhere but here. The Stoics taught that the present moment is all we ever truly own. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present, not as a poetic suggestion, but as a survival strategy, because nothing else is real. The past is memory. The future is imagination. Only now is alive. Only now gives you the power to act, to choose, to live. But presence is rare. We pride ourselves on multitasking, but the truth is, the more we divide our attention, the less effective we become. Our work suffers. Our relationships weaken. Our sense of purpose dissolves into background noise. Excellence doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you give something your full, undivided self. Whether that's writing, speaking, listening, or simply breathing, presence is the gateway to mastery, and it's something you must train daily. So make it a habit to single task. When you eat, just eat, no scrolling. No emails, taste your food, feel your breath. When you work, work with focus. Close the tabs, mute the distractions. Give your best energy to one thing at a time. When someone speaks to you, look them in the eye. Listen with intent. Don't plan your reply while they're still talking. Presence is a discipline, but it's also a gift. Because when you're truly present, you feel more alive, more in control, more rooted in what actually matters. And over time, that presence becomes a superpower. You start to notice details others miss. You start to connect deeper. You become calmer, clearer, more certain. And the people around you feel it. They sense your attention, your intention, your gravity. Being ruthlessly present means you stop letting moments slip past you. You stop living in reaction. You start living with precision. It's not always easy. Your mind will wander, that's natural, but every time it does, gently bring it back. That return, that quiet redirection is the muscle. That's where the growth happens, and soon being present isn't something you force. It's who you are, someone who shows up fully, completely, authentically, because excellence isn't scattered, it's focused. And your focus, when you claim it, becomes your power. Serve someone each day. We live in a world obsessed with self-promotion, self-improvement, self-care. But the Stoics knew that the path to real strength was not paved in isolation. It was found in service, in the quiet, consistent choice to make someone else's burden a little lighter. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is your profession? Being a good man, not being a famous man, not being a perfect man, being good." And being good isn't just about what you build for yourself. It's about what you contribute to the people around you. Every day you're given dozens of chances to serve, to help, to listen, to uplift. And most of them are small, almost invisible, but that's the point. Personal excellence isn't about grand gestures. It's about invisible integrity. It's about doing the right thing when no one's watching, not because you expect something in return, but because service is who you are. Hold the door for someone, let someone merge in traffic, send a message to a friend who's struggling. Offer your attention to someone who needs to be seen. Say thank you like you mean it. Give without keeping score. These tiny acts of service are not beneath you. They build you. They train your soul to be generous, not guarded. Compassionate, not transactional. And as you serve, you shrink your ego, not by force but by focus. You stop being the center of your world and start becoming a part of something greater. The Stoics believed that we were all threads in the same tapestry, that your actions ripple outward, even when you don't see it. That when you strengthen the whole, you strengthen yourself. And service isn't just about others. It shapes you. It interrupts your self-centered thinking. It lifts you out of your own mind and reconnects you with reality. It reminds you that the most fulfilled people are not the ones who receive the most, but the ones who give the most, with the least need for recognition. So make it a habit. Each day, do something for someone else without expecting a thank you, without needing to be noticed. Let the act itself be enough. And over time, you'll notice something powerful. You become lighter, stronger, freer. Because when your life is rooted in service, your heart expands, your pride shrinks, and your days begin to carry meaning far beyond what you can measure. That's excellence. Quiet, grounded, giving, the kind of excellence that can't be faked, only lived. And it starts with one choice, one act, one person. Every single day, practice emotional discipline. There's a moment between what happens to you and how you respond. And in that moment, your entire life can change. Most people never find that space. They react instantly, emotionally, without thought. They let anger lead, they let fear speak, they let pride shout, and then they deal with the damage. But the Stoics understood that freedom begins where reactivity ends. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That space, that pause, is the birthplace of emotional discipline. And if you want to be excellent, you have to train for it every day. This doesn't mean you suppress your feelings. It means you don't let them drive the car. Your emotions are valuable. They're messengers. They're indicators, but they're not always trustworthy. And they were never meant to be your leaders. Emotional discipline starts with awareness. You feel the rise of irritation or jealousy or disappointment, and instead of obeying it, you observe it. You don't slam the door. You don't fire off the text. You don't make the sarcastic comment. You take a breath. You ask, what's really going on here? What story am I telling myself about this moment? Maybe the insult you received wasn't personal. Maybe the silence from someone isn't rejection, it's their own chaos. Maybe the frustration you feel is more about you than them. These are the insights that come when you give yourself a chance to reflect instead of react. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally intelligent, and that takes training. Every day you'll face small provocations. Someone cuts you off, someone forgets to call, someone misunderstands you. These are your practice grounds. These are your chances to say, I will not give my peace away just because the world is loud. The Stoics called it the discipline of assent. The power to choose which impressions you accept, which stories you believe, and which feelings you act on. You're not a prisoner to your first reaction. You are free to pause, free to think, free to lead yourself. And every time you do, you build confidence, not in a showy way, but in the kind of way that says, I trust myself. I don't need to be right. I don't need to explode. I can hold my ground and stay kind. I can disagree and stay calm. That's strength. That's what people notice, even if they don't understand it. That's steadiness. That's self-control, that calm in the chaos. So make emotional discipline a daily habit. Don't wait for the big moments. Train in the small ones. Practice the pause. Ask questions. Delay the reaction. Choose your response. Because personal excellence isn't just about what you achieve, it's about who you are when life presses on your soft spots, and who you become when you respond from wisdom instead of impulse. That's someone truly free. Speak with precision. Words matter. Not just the words you speak to others, but especially the words you speak to yourself. Every sentence you say reinforces something, a belief, a story, a mindset. And most people speak without thinking. They exaggerate. They downplay, they gossip, they apologize for truths or sugarcoat lies. And in doing so, they weaken themselves without realizing it. But the Stoics were precise with language, not to impress, but to stay in alignment. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never be caught speaking without purpose." That wasn't about being silent, it was about speaking with intention, with clarity, with truth. When you make speaking with precision a habit, you build integrity. You stop saying things you don't mean. You stop using words as weapons or shields. You stop hiding behind humor or flattery or vague statements that keep you safe but disconnected. You say what you mean. You say it clearly. And you say it kindly. This habit starts with catching yourself. Notice when you say things like, "I always mess this up," or "I can't do that," or "I'm just not good at this." Those aren't facts. They're phrases you've repeated so often they feel like truth, but they're not. And every time you speak them, you reinforce them. So shift your language. Be precise. Instead of saying, "I'm terrible at public speaking," say, "I'm still building confidence in public speaking." Instead of, "This always happens to me," say, "This is something I want to respond to differently." The words may seem small, but the difference in mindset is massive. With others, precision matters just as much. Say no when you mean no. Don't over-explain. Don't water down your truth. Don't speak to be liked. Speak to be real. And when you make a mistake, own it. Say, "I was wrong." When someone helps you, say thank you. When something matters, speak it. Precision builds trust. It clears confusion. It sharpens your thoughts. It gives your words weight. And when your words carry weight, people listen. Not because you shout, but because you mean what you say. You become someone who speaks less but says more. Someone who's not trying to impress but to align. To connect, to live truthfully, speaking with precision isn't about being perfect. It's about being responsible. Your words are tools. Use them well. Use them to build, not break, to elevate, not obscure, to express, not manipulate. So practice today. Speak clearly, speak slowly if you have to. Speak from the center of who you are, and every time you do, you become a little more grounded, a little more excellent. Because excellence doesn't just show up in what you do, it lives in how you speak. Every word is a choice. Make yours count. Reflect before sleep. The day ends whether you've used it well or not. But personal excellence means you don't just let the day pass. You pause. You look back. You examine the ground you walked, the words you spoke, the moments you missed or mastered. You take the raw material of experience and turn it into wisdom. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens through reflection. Marcus Aurelius didn't just rule an empire, he ruled his mind. And every night he returned to himself, not to relive the day in regret, but to understand it, to extract meaning, to reinforce his commitment to live better, think deeper, act wiser. That's what you're doing here, not judging yourself, not replaying your mistakes like a punishment reel. You're reviewing your day as a craftsman inspects his work, with focus, with care, with honesty. Make it a habit to ask yourself 3 simple questions before you go to sleep. First, what did I do well today? Give yourself credit. Excellence grows when it's acknowledged. Maybe you held your temper. Maybe you showed up when you didn't feel like it. Maybe you listened instead of speaking. Notice it. Name it. Second, where did I fall short of who I want to be? Not to shame yourself, but to see yourself clearly. Did you react when you meant to reflect? Did you speak when silence would have served you better? Did you hide from a challenge you could have faced? Be honest. The truth isn't your enemy, it's your map. Third, what will I do differently tomorrow? This is where transformation lives. You turn insight into intention. You prepare the ground for growth. You don't need to change everything. You just need to take one step forward with awareness. This habit takes 5 minutes, but the impact is lifelong. It keeps you from sleepwalking through your days. It turns every mistake into a teacher. It turns every small win into a seed you plant again tomorrow. And over time, you begin to trust yourself more, because you're not hiding. You're not drifting, you're living on purpose, not perfectly, but deliberately. So make your bed not just a place to rest your body, but a place to renew your mind. Let the day teach you. Let the quiet speak. Let your inner voice grow strong again. Because excellence isn't just about how you start your day, it's also about how you end it. And when you end it with reflection, you give tomorrow a better foundation than today ever had. Return to the eternal. There's one final habit that ties all the others together. And it's not about performance, it's not about productivity, it's not even about self. It's about connection, perspective, depth. It's about remembering that you are part of something far greater than your to-do list, your emotions, your achievements. The Stoics called it the view from above. The practice of stepping back from your narrow experience and seeing the bigger picture, the clouds, the stars, the web of life that you're woven into. Because when you see from above, your problems shrink, your ego softens, your gratitude expands, and you return to what matters. This habit can take many forms: a moment of prayer, a walk under the sky, reading a few lines from a sacred or timeless text, sitting with your breath and watching it move through your body like wind through the trees. But whatever form it takes, the purpose is the same: to realign with what's eternal, to root yourself in values that don't change with mood or season, because the world will try to make you forget. It will shout at you to hustle harder, perform more, get noticed. But your soul doesn't care about noise. It cares about depth. It cares about truth. It thrives not on applause, but on alignment. So each day, make contact with that deeper place. Even if it's just for a minute, even if it's just a breath, step out of the timeline of tasks and into the timelessness of being. The Stoics believed in living according to nature, not just the trees and rivers, but your own nature. The part of you that longs for stillness, for clarity, for virtue. That's your essence. That's your compass. And the more often you return to it, the less lost you feel in the world. This habit doesn't make you soft. It makes you solid, because people who remember eternity are grounded in the moment. They act with purpose. They speak with grace. They live with humility. They know that life is both brief and sacred, and they don't waste it chasing things that won't last. So return to the eternal, return to the quiet. Return to the source that gives your actions meaning and your challenges perspective. Because personal excellence isn't about chasing glory, it's about living in harmony with what is real. And what is real is deeper than ambition. It's older than fear. It's stronger than distraction. It is you, at your core. A soul in pursuit of wisdom. A mind committed to truth. a life lived in quiet service to something larger than itself. And when you touch that, even for a moment each day, everything else finds its place. You walk straighter, you breathe deeper, you lead with integrity, because now you remember who you are, and that memory, that return, is the beginning of everything that matters. You've made it to the end, but really, this is the beginning of a different kind of life, one not built on chasing, proving, or pretending, but on practicing, becoming, returning. Because personal excellence isn't found in a single victory, it's forged in repetition. In the quiet decisions no one sees, in the standards you uphold when no one's watching, in the small, deliberate habits that shape the direction of your soul. You now carry 10 of them, 10 habits, not for the sake of being busy or productive, but to become more grounded, more awake, more aligned with what truly matters. You're not here to compete with others. You're here to live with clarity, with presence, with power that isn't loud, but undeniable. And it won't be perfect. You'll miss a day. You'll forget. You'll fall into old patterns. That's okay. The goal isn't flawlessness. It's faithfulness, showing up again, trying again, returning again. Because excellence isn't a destination. It's a way of moving through the world. It's how you speak, how you treat people, how you rise after failing. It's how you honor your values, especially when it costs you something. It's how you train yourself to do what's right, not what's easy. And the beauty of it is, no one can stop you. Not your past, not your fears, not your circumstances. The path to excellence is always open, and it starts the moment you decide that your life is worth showing up for. Fully, fiercely, completely. You don't need to prove your worth through accomplishments. You don't need to chase validation. You just need to live each day with integrity, with discipline, with heart. These 10 habits are tools. But more than that, they're reminders. Reminders that you already have what it takes. You don't need to become someone else. You need to remember who you are underneath the noise. And when you live this way, deliberately, reflectively, purposefully, something amazing happens. You start to respect yourself, not for what you've done, but for who you are becoming. You start to trust yourself, to carry yourself differently, to speak with more calm, to stand with more confidence, because you're not guessing anymore. You're building, you're not floating, you're grounded. You're not waiting for life to shape you. You're shaping life from the inside out. And that, right there, is the mark of a stoic. Not cold, not distant, but resilient. Present, committed to becoming the best version of yourself, not because you need to impress the world, but because you refuse to betray your potential. So take a breath. Take a step. Begin again. Let today be your training ground. Let tomorrow be your continuation. And let your life, quietly, steadily, truthfully, speak for itself. Not in noise, not in chaos, but in the way you rise, in the way you serve, in the way you return day after day to what really matters. This is the path of personal excellence. Walk it well. Walk it honestly, and above all, walk it as yourself. That's more than enough. That's everything.